السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Hello, my name is Ahmed, and I'm here to take you through another section, the second section of Surah Ash-Shu'ara, which means the chapter of the poets, chapter 26 of the Quran, where I'm reading the Quran from the very beginning. I read it in Arabic, but I discuss it in English. The purpose of this channel is education. I'm learning about the Quran and I'm sharing my understanding with you guys because I feel like that's the best way for me to learn. But also, if you see something different, please let me know. I'm happy to learn from you as much as you learn from me, I hope. Which brings me back to, right now, as we're releasing these episodes, I have wonderful Mr. Matar, aka the best viewer that I have so far. And he made a point that I was struggling to understand something in the previous section, which was وَتِلْكَ نِعْمَةً تَمُنْهَا عَلَيَّ إِنْ أَنْ عَبِدْتَ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل, which is verse 22. وَتِلْكَ نِعْمَةٌ تَمُنْهَا عَلَيَّ أَنْ عَبَدْتَ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل. I was struggling to understand it, but the way that he explained it made a lot of sense. And yeah, it's like a sarcastic question. وَتِلْكَ نِعْمَةٌ تَمُنْهَا عَلَيَّ, like, this is the favor that you're putting against me, that you have enslaved the children of Israel. That's the favor. That's what you're saying. Oh, I was so generous to you that I took advantage of people and used what I took advantage from them to help you. And I think that makes sense. I was struggling to understand how the phrase connects. But it's like, really, you think that enslaving a people is a favor that you're putting on me? That's not good. That's not a favor. The way that I understood it, maybe he explained it slightly different, but that's how I understood it. Is your favor that you enslaved the children of Israel? I think it makes sense. But yeah, it's obviously early channels, so I will respond to every single comment that I can. But today we're continuing from chapter 50, verse 52. It's obviously chapter 26. If you're new to the Quran, it's chapter 26, verse 52. We're doing 52 to 110. And I'm not claiming to be an expert. I'm claiming to learn. So let's learn. Off we go. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So we pick off. Where did we pick off? It was Moses had just defeated the sorcerers of the Pharaoh. Then they started believing in Moses' God, and Pharaoh got angry. And scene. وأوحينا إلى موسى أن أسري وأوحينا إلى موسى أن أسري بعبادي إنكم متبعون. And we inspired to Moses, أوحينا, wahi, we've talked about this, we've revealed, like it's kind of revealed, it's not revealed, it's communicated to Moses, but not in a way that is like necessarily in front of everyone, but also not in a way that is not in front of everyone, but we just conveyed a message to Musa. Musa is Moses. That you should travel by night with my servants, with my slaves. The word is slaves, but some people struggle with that word. Indeed, you are followed. You are being pursued. Pharaoh's angry. He gonna try and get y'all. You got to move at night. فأرسل فرعون في المدائن حاشرين. And we've seen this before. And then Pharaoh sent in the cities the town criers, the gatherers, the mobilizers, the ones that go out and spread a message and try to do something. إن هؤلاء لشرذمة قليلون. So Pharaoh sent out the message to all the people in the city. Indeed, these people, the people of Moses and the children of Israel, they're just a small group. They're a small group. They're a handful of people. We can get them. Go get them. وَإِنَّهُمْ لَنَا لَغَائِظُونَ. And they are to us enraging. They are enraging us. Why are they enraging us? Because they're disrespecting us. They're disrespecting our God, who they believed was Pharaoh at the time. Because hubris, ego. وَإِنَّا لَجَمِيعٌ حَاذِرُونَ. And indeed, we are all together on alert, forewarned. Alert is a proper translation of hadirun. Hadr, to have to have hadr. Sometimes you can mix English and Arabic so that kind of the same sentence can start in English and finish in Arabic. Start in English, switch to Arabic, switch to English, and it will make perfect sense because their grammar structure makes sense. I'm not making fun of those other languages, but you know who he is. وَإِنَّا لَجَمِيعٌ حَاذِرُونَ. And we are all together alert. Pluribus. Great show. Messed up, but great show. فأخرجناهم من جنات وعيون. So we expelled them from gardens and springs, water springs. I never actually knew what a spring looks like. I know that ayun is a spring, but for some reason, I imagined a jacuzzi in the wild when I was younger, and I've never really updated that visual. I think I need to look at it, but anyway, it's a spring. So who are they? Who did they? It doesn't say the tyrants. It just say we expelled them from the gardens and from the springs, and we know that it's talking about Pharaoh and his soldiers. It's not, actually. It's also talking about the children of Israel and Moses, because they do go to the desert. They do leave the comfort of the city life, so to speak, for fear of their lives, as well as the parasites. Anyway, the whole group, everybody leaves the safe space. But then it continues to explain treasures, so you kind of understand that it is the Pharaoh's. وَكُنُوزٍ وَمَقَامٍ كَرِيمٍ, and treasures and a place that is honorable, splendid residence. I always thought Kareem was kind, and I think that's how we use it in Arabic, but noble kind of does give that same feeling. Honorable, splendid. كَذَلِكَ وَأَوْرَثْنَاهَا بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل. Okay, so never mind. I will eat my words, and I will correct myself. And thus we have inherited it to the children of Israel. So it is making a distinction between the group of the Pharaoh and the group of the children of Israel. I could call it group of Pharaoh, group of Moses, but children of Israel is a very specific key here, so we're going to kind of focus on that. فَاتَّبَعُوهُمْ مُشْرِقِينَ. So they followed them at sunrise. They pursued them at sunrise. فَلَمَّا تَرَاءَ الْجَمْعَانِ قَالَ أَصْحَابُ مُوسَى إِنَّا لَمُدْرَكُونَ. So when the two groups, the group of Moses and the group of Pharaoh, saw each other, the companions of Moses said, we are surely going to be overtaken. Overtaken, yeah. I don't think overtaken. I mean, it is the technical word. It does mean overtaken, but I think the idea is like they're going to catch up to us. They're going to catch us, the Pharaoh and their people who want to kill us because we have rejected them, and we want to be free. They're trying to get us out. Denial, hello, hi, long time no see. How's it going? Welcome, long time no see. Are you still playing Limbus Company? Nice to see you. Hello, hi, how's it going? So yeah, when the two groups, group of Moses, group of Pharaoh, met each other, the group of Moses who are being pursued are like, uh-oh, they caught up to us. We're screwed. But Moses said, قَالَ كَلَّا إِنَّ مَعِيَ رَبِّي سَيَهْدِينِ. He said, no, nay, indeed, I'm with God. God is with me, and he will gift me or guide me. Sometimes guidance is a gift. Yeah, hidayah can mean guidance, hidayah can mean gift, and a guidance can be a gift, but I think here guidance is the more accurate word, I suppose. فأوحينا إلى موسى أن اضرب بعصاك البحر فانفلق فكان كل فرق كالطود العظيم. فرق. فأوحينا إلى موسى أن اضرب بعصاك البحر فانفلق فكان كل فرق كالطود العظيم. Of course, there was a new story about a book called Hellscreen. Quite a read. I'm honestly happy to see you look as positive as last time we talked. Yeah, honestly, it's been rough. It's been up and down and left, right. I've gone through some dark times this past couple of months, but my faith and my religion helps bring me back. So I'm very happy and very grateful and very blessed. But back to the verses. So we inspired to Moses that he should strike with his staff the sea. So it parted, and then each part became like a mountain that is great. Now there's this weird thing. I have a very strong visual of what the Red Sea looked like parted. And I don't know if it's because it was like recreated in some sort of film or some sort of video. It probably was, or maybe like it was in a dream of mine, but I don't know. I have a very strong visual of the sea being parted and it looking like two giant mountains on each side. I don't know why. Now you'll think, oh, it's the world of AI, and AI can recreate any look. I know, but like, I don't know. I just felt like I've seen it. I can just visualize it completely. I don't know why. But yes, Moses struck the sea, and it split into two, and there was two giant walls of water on each side. وَأَزْلَفْنَا ثُمَّ الْآخَرِينَ. And we brought near then the others. So Moses and his people went through, and then Pharaoh and his people came behind them. Having faith is good, although I'm not very religious. Having self-faith is very important too. That's actually a very interesting point. So I think balance seems to be the key of the world. 50% faith in oneself, 50% faith in a higher power. And you have to have, and it's not like it's like 60-40. It's like each of these are two separate halves that make up the whole of you in order for you to be balanced. If you're full up on faith in self, but zero on faith in a higher power, then you become egotistical, you become, arrogant, you become a little bit, you think that your shit don't stink, so to speak, and you become a very horrible person. Trump. But then if you have the other way around, if you have no faith in yourself and all faith in higher power, I would say it's better than the first scenario, but it's still not ideal in the sense that it can sometimes leave you thinking that you can't make a difference, that you can't do anything. It can kind of depress you a little bit, like you kind of completely surrender. You're not living your best version of yourself to do it. So the ideal is to have full faith in yourself, but understanding that in the end of the day, at least in Islam, it always says Allahu Akbar, which means God is greater. So technically it's 51% God, 49% you. There has to be like, it's not equal. You're not supposed to be equal, but you're supposed to work on the sense of self as well as you work with the sense of God is greater, so that you can be the most functioning person, but understanding that every functioning success that you have was a gift given from the greater power. Life is full of these dualities, self versus God. And so we drew the pursuers to the place, which means Pharaoh and them went into the sea, into the space. And like, this is also a testament to how much the Pharaoh and his people did not believe. Like Moses was telling him, I'm a messenger from God. He's like, nah. And then he showed him with the staff. There was also like a lot of signs. There was 9 signs. There was the locust, the storm, the frogs, the something. I don't know where that comes into play, but apparently it does come into play. All these signs, and Pharaoh's like, nah, you ain't talking about God. This ain't you. Moses literally, as they're chasing, the Pharaoh and the people are chasing Moses and his group. Moses, obviously God does it through Moses, and he parts the sea. And they're literally walking through. There used to be a sea here, now there's giant mountains. And Pharaoh and his people are like, nah, this ain't God. Let's go get him. We're still bigger. And this is the sense of when you have a sense of self that is higher. 10 disasters from the Bible. I've studied it back in. There were like 9 mentioned in the Quran. I think the number was 9. So, 9 and 10 aren't that far apart, but they're pretty cool. But the sense of self of Pharaoh. By the way, if you guys don't know who I'm talking to or why I'm talking to someone, look, it's can you see it? Oh, yeah, you can. Okay, I was just trying to see where. Okay, there it is. It's just delayed on YouTube. You can kind of see. I talk to people on Twitch because I stream on Twitch and on YouTube. So everyone's on YouTube is like, what's happening? Oh, whoa, and it became small. Wow. I don't know what just happened there, but that's cool. So Pharaoh's sense of self was so much greater than his sense of God. He's like, I don't believe in your God so much, and I believe in myself so much that I'm willing to walk into a space where the sea is literally parted, and thinking, I'm strong enough. You know what? I'm still greater than what I see before. And that's when you have an imbalance. When you have a sense of self more than a sense of a higher power, you can do some disastrous things that kind of end up very poorly for you. So that's why I always say in Arabic, Allahu Akbar. And there's a purpose to it. It's to remind us that God is greater. As great as we think we are, God is always greater. And if you can keep both of those ideas in mind, I am great, but my God is greater, then you can have a functioning ego while still being humble, which I think is a delicate balance that we all need to achieve. وأنجينا موسى ومن معه أجمعين. And we saved Moses and whoever was with him all together. Yeah. And the story of Moses is repeated the most in the Quran. Moses is the prophet that is mentioned the most in the Quran, as I always say. ثم أغرقنا الآخرين. And then we drowned the others. إن في ذلك لآية وما كان أكثرهم مؤمنين. Indeed, in that is a sign, but most of them are non-believers. And there was, I think, a reference to like someone pulling up the mummies of the pharaohs and seeing that some of them had drowned of salt water, which I think, don't quote me on this. I remember this very loose detail, but also my mom sends me a bunch of these videos, so sometimes I'm like, I don't exactly fact check everything she says, so just don't take it. But that's how it could be a sign, for example. But maybe it was more obvious a sign back then. I don't know. وَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الرَّحِيمُ. And indeed, your Lord is the Almighty and the most merciful. And here you kind of see the duality immediately. Also within God's traits, He's all-powerful, but He's most merciful. He has the power to wipe us all out, but He extends us mercy by giving us a lot of things that help us and connect us and make us feel safe. Consistently, the Quran is full of examples of that humans are ungrateful, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that my shit don't stink. I have definitely been ungrateful many times in my life. I'm sure I'll be ungrateful many times in the future. And it's not because I'm like mean or selfish or egotistical. It's just sometimes we forget. We have blessings, and once you have blessings for a while, you're like, yeah, I'm used to it. Like, I don't have to appreciate this blessing for what it is. You're like, no, you have to appreciate every blessing all the time because you'll forget. And when you forget, you tend to behave like an asshole. You tend to be egotistical. And you need God's mercy. Otherwise, we'd all be doomed. I'm very curious about Hellscream, but I also, my laptop can't handle Limbus Company at this point in time. I jump between topics like crazy, I know. وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ. And recite upon them or retell to them the news of Abraham. It's not retell, it's relate. Yeah, maybe. The story of Abraham, the news of Abraham. Forgiveness is a virtue. It absolutely is. There's a lot of virtues that we learn from God, and a lot of people forget that we have to try and work to become more divine in nature by trying to embody the virtues that God has. إِذْ قَالَ لِأَبِيهِ وَقَوْمِهِ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ. Abraham, when he said to his father and his people, what are you worshipping? Doesn't say besides God. We'll get to besides God in a second. He says, what are you worshipping? So they respond, قالوا نعبد أصناما فنظل لها عاكفين. They said, we worship idols, statues. We're worshipping statues. So we will remain to them devoted. We will remain devoted to them. And then Abraham asked, قال هل يسمعونكم إذ تدعون. He said, do they hear you when you call? Do these statues hear you when you call? أو ينفعونكم أو يضرون. أو ينفعونكم أو يضرون. Do they hear you when you call them, or do they benefit you, or do they harm you? And I always struggle with this comparison because the Quran does this many, many times with the idol. It's like, how are you going to pray and worship to something that doesn't benefit you and doesn't harm you? And it's hard to see how God benefits us and harms us because we don't see God. We don't see how God works. God works in mysterious ways, but it's also like a part of life. For me, it's always like that argument of, yeah, I don't know how the statue is going to help me or hurt me, but do I know how God's going to help me and hurt me? I don't know when God's working and how God's working. And then the answer is God's working all the time. And then you're like, okay, but then doesn't that sound like life? How do I know if God's hearing me? How do I know if God's doing this? And I don't quite have an answer to that question, but I'll get the answer soon. قالوا بل وجدنا آباءنا كذلك يفعلون. They said, nay, we found our forefathers like that doing. We found our forefathers doing the same. which is also a big critique of the Quran in general, is that, oh, these people are doing what their forefathers are doing, not necessarily what is right or what God is asking them to do. And I also hold that same challenge to some of the Muslim communities today, because some people confuse tradition with God's guidance. They say, oh, we've always been doing it this way, is the same thing as, oh, God wants us to do it this way. And there's a difference. And that's why we have the Quran, so that we can make sure that we learn and adapt. قال أفرأيتم ما كنتم تعبدون. Then Abraham said, do you see what you have been worshipping? أنتم وأباؤكم الأقدمون, you and your forefathers and their first forefathers, you and your ancestors. فإنهم عدو لي إلا رب العالمين. Indeed, they are an enemy to me except to the Lord of the worlds. And I thought it was like very confusing. Why is God a part of what they used to worship? And I think he's saying, from our forefathers, everything that our forefathers used to worship is an enemy to me, except for the ones that used to worship God. The ones that worship God, that's not my enemy. But everyone that was... So here you're kind of creating the exception of God from what they used to worship, from what the forefathers used to worship. And God, who? الذي خلقني فهو يهدين. I always struggle not saying the last حركة. The one who created me, and he's the one that guides me. So this is Abraham saying what God does, which, again, if you're not a prophet or a messenger, you don't exactly know this for sure, but you understand it. وَالَّذِي هُوَ يُطْعِمُنِي وَيَسْقِينِ. And he's the one who gives me food and gives me drink. وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينِ. And when I am ill, then he is the one that cures me, that heals me. وَالَّذِي يُمِيتَنِي ثُمَّ يُحْيِينِ. And he's the one that causes me to die and then will resurrect me. Oh, no, and then brings me back to life, because sometimes they talk about sleep being death and then being brought back to life, which is very interesting. وَالَّذِي أطمع أن يغفر لي خطيئتي يوم الدين. Yeah. Sometimes I read it right, but I'm like, did I read it right? And the one who I hope that will forgive me my sins, my faults on the day of judgment. Forgive me my flaws on the day of judgment. It is reported in an authentic narration collected by Tanrizi that Prophet Muhammad said that Abraham did not tell the full truth only on 3 different occasions. When he justified his absence from the pagan festival by saying, I'm really sick. We haven't got there yet. When he destroyed the idols and blamed it on the biggest one, 2163, we absolutely did read this, and he did say a lie. And when he said that Sarah was his sister to save her from the tyrant ruler, yes. But also, most people, I'm struggling with this. The prophets and messengers were people. Humans make mistakes. Even if you're amazing, even if you're great, even if you're a paragon of virtue, you're human. You make mistakes. You are not perfect. By definition, in your nature, you're not perfect. So, of course, he has faults. It's not that he was a flawless human being, except for these 3 occasions. I'm sure he had many faults. Everyone has faults. Everyone has... Yom Hadin is in Hebrew, isn't it? It has the same meaning. So there's a lot of similarities between Hebrew and Arabic. There's a lot of similarities between them, and there's a reason for it, because they're both Semitic languages, which is funny when people go, anti-Semitism is a wild thing. Anti-Semitism in most people's minds applies to only Jews, which is like being anti-Muslim is also anti-Semitic. But let's not get into it. But yes, Yom ad-Din in Arabic means, Yom is day, al-Din means the religion, and I guess I haven't studied Hebrew yet, but I will, because the plan for this channel is to study the Quran and then get into Christianity and Judaism, because I believe that they're all face of God. They all had messengers, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, and I believe this because, the Quran says so. And so there are going to be a lot of similarities between there are more similarities between what the Jews and the Muslims believe than what the Muslims and the Christians believe. Because Christianity is based on Saul of Tarsus, which in modern day Bible is called Paul. If you don't want to learn Hebrew, you can ask me. It's my native language. Okay, cool, nice. I do, but I think I'm going to get into Hebrew and the Torah as the third. Actually, let me give you. I want to take this opportunity to connect with you on Discord, because I would love to learn from you. And if you're interested in religious studies, I think this would be very, very good. I do have my Discord somewhere on my Twitch, but I haven't looked at it in a long time. So I'll just give you my Discord so we can kind of connect on a way that we can chat, because I would love to learn. But yeah, the way that I was thinking about it is do Islam and the Quran first, Christianity. I don't know if I want to do the Bible, but I have to do the Bible because it's like the most popular source at the moment. But I have a lot of issues with the Bible. And then I want to get into the Torah and Hebrew at some point. Specifically the first 5 books of the Tanakh. Is that correct? Or do we already have each other on Discord? Wait. Maybe we have each other on Discord. I don't think so. Okay. Preacher, I would not disturb. Oh, it's just Arabia? Okay, that's pretty. Oh, yeah, okay. All right. I'd love to read the Quran too, but I have way too many books to read. Well, I mean, you can kind of, on Discord, you can kind of follow me. I'm reading the Quran entirely. And it's also a long, it's not a quick read. It's a long read, and that's why I'm kind of reading it. I want to learn exactly what's in the Quran before I start discussing or communicating anything else. Yeah, so you should be able to find me on Discord now, but I'm going to go back to the reading of the Quran so that I don't make this YouTube video too annoying for those who are watching. Apologies for the delays, but that's what happens when you stream. But so what I was saying is that everybody has faults, even the messengers, even the Prophet Muhammad, even the Prophet Abraham, every single one. We're human. By design, we have flaws. Some are prone to anger, some are prone to fear, some are prone to anxiety, some are there's all kinds of things that affect us. Thinking that the prophets are perfect is completely counterintuitive and destructive. Oh, I see a notification. Yo. Cool, we are connected. So now I can close Discord. But yes, I would love to learn from you. Thank you very much for joining me, which is very cool. So Abraham says, I hope you'll forgive me your faults on Judgment Day, on the day of religion, which we also know as Judgment Day. It's also known as the day of resurrection. Rabbi habli hukman walhiqni bis-salihin. My Lord, grant me wisdom and join me with the righteous. Which again, if you're praying for wisdom, it means that sometimes you lack wisdom. Sometimes that you make foolish decisions. Because again, we're human, we're flawed, we're not perfect. But yeah, Abraham's asking for wisdom, and he's saying, وَالْحِقْنِي بِالصَّالِحِينَ, and join me. Yeah, let me join the righteous. وَاجْعَلْ لِي لِسَانَ صِدْقٍ فِي الْآخَرِينَ, and grant me a mention of truth in the later generations, an honorable mention in the later generations. Honorable mention sounds good, but I feel like it's truth. I feel like it's not. The word sidq means truth. It can mean, honorable or fair or just. Yeah, maybe they're all kind of from the same root. But the footnote here, it says, on a daily basis, Muslims invoke Allah's blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad and his family, and the Prophet Abraham and his family, in both obligatory and optional prayers. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim, for example. God, please pray upon Muhammad and the family of Muhammad, and Abraham and the family of Abraham. And then it's also the same repeated, but with blessings. وَاجْعَلْنِي مِنْ وَرْثَةِ جَنَّةِ النَّعِيمِ, and make me from the inheritors of the garden of bliss, the garden of delight. It's a beautiful, beautiful expression. وَاغْفِرْ لِأَبِي إِنَّهُ كَانَ مِنَ الضَّالِّينَ. And forgive my father, indeed he was of those gone astray. And that is so heavy for me. It's I told you these were dark times these past couple of months, and learning that I have to mourn the death of loved ones who choose not to believe just feels so heavy. Because if you truly believe in God and in heaven and in hell, then you believe that when these people die, you A, are not going to see them again, B, they're going to suffer, and it's so heavy if you love these people, you know what I mean? It's so hard, and it's such a heavy burden. Yeah, there was a comedian, Jordan Johnson, and she's like, most people don't really believe in God, because if you thought I was going to hell and I was your friend, then you're not acting aggressively enough. And she's hits on a nerve. She hits on the truth. She's right. I mean, if she believed in it, she would hit that hard. But for me, I do believe in it, and I also believe in free will. I believe that I can't force you to be anything that you're not, so I have to kind of make peace with the choices that you make, which is heavy. وَلَا تُخْزِنِي يَوْمَ يُبْعَثُونَ. And do not disgrace me on the day that they are resurrected. Again, day of judgment, day of resurrection, because you will be resurrected so that you can face your judgment. And your whole life will flash before your eyes. It won't flash before your eyes. You'll read your entire life, every single thing that you've done. It's very funny. يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ. On the day that no wealth and no sons will benefit anyone. Doesn't matter how much wealth you've accumulated, doesn't matter how many children you've accumulated, they will not benefit you. إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. Except who comes to God with a heart that is at peace, that is sound, that is saved, that is surrendered. A pure and sound heart is that of a believer compared to the disbeliever and the hypocrite. And there is beauty in this. There's unbelievable beauty in this. There's a reason why it's called Islam. Islam means the art of surrender. And some people think that surrendering is defeat, whereas in this world, more often than not, surrendering to the reality of the situation helps you accept it. That doesn't mean you can't change it. That doesn't mean you can't work against it. I work in a direction to change the world, but you have to accept what it is, and that acceptance brings you peace. And there's a relief with a heart that is biqalbin salim, a heart that is, and our hearts hurt, man. Life is hard, bad things happen, so having peace is so powerful and so desired. And I wish my heart finds peace too, because life is hard. God. وَأُزْلِفَتِ الْجَنَّةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. And paradise will be brought near to the righteous. Interesting word, uzlifat. وَبُرِّزَتِ الْجَحِيمُ لِلْغَاوِينَ. And hellfire will be displayed to the deviators, to the deviants, to the ones. There's always balance is key, and balance is often called for in the Quran. Heaven, hell. Finding you're doing the good for the benefits, you're avoiding the bad for the negatives, and you have to kind of keep both in mind to be successful. وَقِيلَ لَهُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْبُدُونَ. And it will be said to them, where is what you used to worship? Those things that you worship, where are they on Judgment Day? Yeah. Those things, those statues that you were kind of devoting your life to, where are they now? مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ هَلْ يَنْصُرُونَكُمْ أَوْ يَنْتَصِرُونَ. Where are those that you used to worship except for besides of God? Do they benefit you, or do Do they help you? Are they able to save you or help you or save themselves or help themselves? فكبكبوا فيها فكبكبوا فيها هم والغاوون.
فكبكبوا
فكبكبوا فكبكبوا فيها هم والغاوون. فكبكبوا فيها هم والغاوون. Ooh, new word for me. That them and the deviators will be overturned in it. They'll be hurled headlong. Oh, they'll be dumped. They will be dumped in hell. In it. It doesn't say hell, but it says in it. Them and the deviators. Oh, the idols that they used to worship and the deviators will be like. I just imagine them in like a small bucket, and they're just like being poured out into hell. That's what it's kind of. Kubikibu. Interesting word. وَجُنُودُ إِبْلِيسَ أَجْمَعُونَ. Them, the idols, the ones who deviated, and the armies of Iblis altogether. Iblis, if you don't know him, has mentioned in the Quran, is the name of Satan before his fall from grace. Iblis used to be in heaven. Was he an angel? Was he a jinn? He was definitely a jinn, because the Quran says that. Was he an angel as well? I don't know how that works. Let's not get into too many details today. But Iblis, aka Satan, aka Shaitan, has an army, and they will also be in hell on that day. قالوا وهم فيها يختصمون. They will say while they are in it, disputing and arguing. It doesn't mention their idols. It just mentions that they'll be arguing, because it mentioned like 3 or 4 groups there. تالله إن كنا لفي ضلال مبين. By God, indeed, we were surely in a confusion, in darkness that is clear. We were in darkness. We were and it's an intellectual darkness, not like a physical lack of light, but like a lack of guidance, a lack of awareness. We were so misguided. We were so confused. We were clearly misguided. إذ نسويكم برب العالمين. Oh, we were clearly misguided when we equated you with God of the worlds, with the Lord of the worlds. وما أضلنا إلا المجرمون. And nobody misguided us except the criminals, the wicked. Nobody led astray other than the wicked. Which I know they will say this, but this is not exactly true. They misguided themselves. فما لنا من شافعين. So we do not have any intercessors. Nobody's going to get in and say that, hey, I'm gonna intercede for them. ولا صديق حميم. And no friend that is close, nor a close friend will be. It doesn't matter on that day. You got nothing. You lose, in the words of Gene Wilder at the end of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. فلو أن لنا كرة فنكون من المؤمنين. Then if only we had a return, another chance, an opportunity, then we would surely be one of the believers, which that's what everybody says once the curtain has been revealed, once they have failed the test. No, let me try again, I'm going to do it right. No, boo-boo, pay attention, get it right the first time, or suffer. إن في ذلك لآية وما كان أكثرهم مؤمنين. Indeed, in that is a sign, but most of them are not believers. And I think, the sign is, look, figuring out what this life and experience is about is not easy. And you will be tested, and you will be tried, and you will face trials, tribulation. It is not hard. If you go, I know the answer, and I'm not going to think about it anymore, and I move on with my life, that's the choice. But also you can say, all right, let me try and figure out what is going on. Let me give it an honest to God's attempt to try and understand it, to try and see what it's all about, because it's important. And if you think that, this life is just what we see, and when we die, nothing else happens, and you're like, okay, So all this experience, this physical, this heartbreak, this drama, this story, this claim to fame, all of this is just so you can die and be black? Like, girl, you confuse it. Like this, sorry, it's, yeah, obviously I call everybody girl. Let's not get into that. Just think. Even if you come to the different answer than me, by all means, just think, just spend some time actually trying to figure it out, just for a little bit, just contemplate a bit. وَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الرَّحِيمُ. And indeed, your Lord is the Almighty and the most merciful. And this is a repetition. We saw this earlier. It's the balance, power. He can destroy us. Mercy. He gives us grace. كذبت قوم نوح المرسلين. And now we talk about the next story in this chapter, because this chapter is full of stories. The people of Noah denied the messengers. Yeah, this is wrong, because denying Noah is equal to denying all the messengers. No, I think they had multiple messengers. I think you guys are confused. Sometimes people try to justify explanations instead of, taking things at point blank. No. إذ قال لهم أخوهم نوح ألا تتقون. If when their brother Noah said to them, will you not fear? Will you not be mindful? Is the right expression. ألا تتقون. It doesn't say God. So whenever you see these carrots again, that word is not there. Will you not be mindful? And that's all that Islam is asking you for. The same thing I was saying just now. Just be mindful. Contemplate. Think. Try to figure it out. You're placed in this simulation to try and figure out why we're here. To try and figure out what you should be aware of. What's the purpose of all of it? Why are we in this place? Just be mindful. Use your mind. إِنِّي لَكُمْ رَسُولٌ أَمِينٌ. Indeed, I am for you a messenger that is trustworthy. Noah was that indeed. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَطِيعُونِ. Then be mindful of God and obey me. Again, it's not the word fear. Fear is khawf. Taqwa is mindful. So be mindful of God and obey me. And I find this very... I don't like to obey nobody. In me, when someone tells me obey me, I go, no, I don't want it. Don't tell me what to do. But like I said, humans can be very ungrateful and unappreciative. And yeah, I am very much a headstrong child. And sometimes I can benefit from just following rather than be frustrating. وَمَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ مِنْ أَجْرٍ وما أسألكم عليه من أجر إن أجري وما أسألكم عليه من أجر إن أجري إلا على رب العالمين. And I do not ask of any payment. I'm not asking you any sort of... You're not asking any payment for them to obey you. I'm not asking you but I mean, what is he saying to obey me? He's not saying obey me as in become my slaves, become my servants, do my bidding. Obey me in that listen to what I'm saying and believe in God. That's how you obey Noah. So there's the kind of counterpoints to the ego. The ego sometimes reacts to obey me when the answer is, like if somebody tells you, hey, watch out by that fire, and you tell them, don't tell me what to do. It's not about obeying the person. It's about helping yourself. That's what the obeying is. And therein lies the answer. And so he continues saying, and I do not ask of you any payment or reward for what I'm offering, what I'm telling you. Indeed, my payment is except on the Lord of the worlds, Rabbil Alameen, the God of everything. You own everything. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُونِ. There it is again. So be mindful of God and obey me. Because also the obeying is not just, believing God. It's also God has guidance. Don't kill without right. Don't be greedy. There's like a whole list of lessons that God has shared with us. So obeying is also like following the guidance of God. And there are a lot of lessons of God that we need to kind of look into. But why wouldn't it be وَأَطِيعُوهُ? Because, saying obey God is a bit harder. because at the time of Noah there was no Quran, for example, there was no scripture, there was just the word of Noah, and so they had to follow Noah. Whereas now we don't necessarily, like, we can follow the guidance of the Quran, of the Torah, um, without having to obey the people themselves. But even when they're the times of messengers, there's always obey. I don't know. We'll get to that when we get to that. That's the last that's the last verse for today. Thank you all for watching. We will continue story time when we continue it. Being a working man and recording these episodes is actually, it's a lot. I thought I could do it after work, but sometimes it's a lot. Anyway, I thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah, as usual, we always end with Sadaqallah al-Ali al-Azim. And I will catch you guys when I next do an episode. Trousers. Get out of here. As-salamu. Bye.